Hi everybody, welcome to this talk on Enterprise Kotlin, Jakarta EE for Kotlin developers, which I'm going to take you through now through the last session of the conference, so it's going to be fun. So if you have to remember one thing from this talk, like if you sleep from now on until I'm finished, you remember this, like Jakarta EE and Kotlin can perfectly fine be combined. And thank you. Now I'm going to say something more, but that's like the essence of the talk. So I'm going to show some slides now, and then we'll head over to the live demo after a while. So who knows Kotlin? Okay, everyone, good. Okay. So the thing I want to say about Kotlin here is like it can be switched. It's interchangeable with Java. So you can have Java code and Kotlin code in the same project, and everything that works on Java works in Kotlin and vice versa. I guess there are some exceptions, but I haven't done into them. Okay, who knows Jakarta EE? Most people as well. Nice. I would guess so. Yeah, Jakarta EE is a full-feature platform that provides the core technologies most applications need. I think that's a good summary. It's kind of ambitious, but to me it's also kind of true. So. Oops, what? Okay, that's the wrong setting on the slides. Okay, yeah, so forget that one. Okay, so Jakarta EE, lots of people involved, lots of organizations involved. You've seen lots of talk during the conference on the different aspects of Jakarta EE. So I'm just showing this one to say that Jakarta EE is big, which you know. So Jakarta EE platform, which also Ivar and other people have talked about this as well, but it's important in this context to say that there's the Jakarta EE core profile, which microprofile depends on, and which several other runtimes implement that don't implement the entire Jakarta platform. I think Helidon, for instance, then you might correct me if I'm wrong, but implements the core profile, but not the entire Jakarta platform. And yeah, so let's have a short look at the compatible implementations of Jakarta EE, as in the entire Jakarta EE platform. You can see lots of logos here, and these are different runtimes. Pajara, for instance, that are here, Glassfish, and Tommy, and so on, and Open Liberty from IBM, which we'll be looking more into today. But that's a lot of runtimes, right, on the previous slide. And you can see that, well, they're primarily targeted at Java. So do they support Kotlin? They must, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, okay, so let me jump back. Do they support Kotlin? Then we are on this slide, which had moved in some magic way. So if you head over to the Pajara webpage, you find the search field. You type in Kotlin. This is what happens. Nothing found. So does that mean that it doesn't work? No, because as you said, it should work. And that's my reason for giving this talk as well, because I figured that this should work, right? Java and Kotlin are also, yeah, interoperable. Yeah, they can be switched and combined and so on. So everything, if it works with Java, it should work with Kotlin. Yeah, following that up on that, it's possible, but is it feasible? Like, how hard is it? What should you think about? Or, in other words, what trouble did I have while doing it? So you can spare your time. So let's go through the pitfalls there. Because if you take your Kotlin code and put it into your Jakarta EE runtime and try to run it, it probably won't work. Like your endpoints won't be mounted correctly and all these things. So there are a couple of things to go through. Like Kotlin really likes final. Final is more of a default concept in Kotlin than it's in Java. That's like, maybe if you started Java today, it might be that way in Java as well, who knows. But like in Kotlin, you explicitly have to say that the class can be extended, for instance, that you can have, that it can be inherited. Whereas Jakarta EE needs needs that you don't have final, for instance, for CDI, where you create a proxies that causes trouble. So you need a way to say that, well, allow my Kotlin classes to be extended. So you can do it like this. You can add the open keyword to the methods, the classes, and so on. And it might work, but it doesn't really scale good, yeah, because typically have lots of code. But also you have dependencies, which also you need to do this on, and that, yeah, quickly gets messy. Luckily, there is a plugin, the All Open compiler plugin, provided by JetBrains. They create Kotlin. So there's a way to say that if you add this annotation to a Kotlin file, then it will be open for extension, which makes the final problem not a problem anymore after you've done the setup. So CDI and Jakarta persistence, for instance, needs that your classes have no argument constructors. And Kotlin, well, Kotlin likes arguments and constructors in general. That's like the most, say, natural way of coding in Kotlin, so that you often have arguments in your constructors. But for dependency injection and so on to work, you can't really have that. And this, of course, you can solve as well manually by adding no-arg constructors to everything. Or you can use the no-arg compiler plugin, also by JetBrains. And these are like the two big tricks in order to make Kotlin and Jakarta EE be friends. Yeah, the third pitfall, documentation. I already showed you the one from Payara. So not to say anything evil about Payara in special, they are not alone. So if you aim search for Kotlin on openliberty.io or on the Wildfly webpage, like 0 results, 5 results, doesn't really help you a lot. Not to say that it's really hard, but like just to take the essence of what I'm saying today, write a short text about it and put it in a web page would be amazing. Would have spared me for so many hours messing around. So, yeah, I told you these are the pitfalls that I've run into. So, what I want to do now is like I want to show you how to do it in code, like how to go from nothing. We can head over to IntelliJ and look at my repo. So I have prepared a repo. Ignore the branches here. This is like my preparations. So you can see that here it's a git ignore file, and it's connected to a GitHub repo, and that's pretty much all there is. Like, so we agree that we start from scratch. So what we're going to do now is actually create an application with OpenLiberty that implements Jakarta EE and runs on Kotlin. So let's start by downloading OpenLiberty. So this is the starter web page. You've probably seen similar with both Spring and Quarkus and all the application servers, pretty much. Let's name it Enterprise Kotlin, as we're choosing Maven for today. Jakarta EE 10, and the newest macro profile, newest Java SE, all this is good. So that's the OpenLiberty starter, which we now have downloaded. So let's unzip it. You can see here are starter files for OpenLiberty. Let's add it to the project in IntelliJ, and here we are. And now we can run it and see that it's actually running, which is which we would assume, right? It's running because we downloaded it from official starter. Here you can see that you have a Java REST application.java. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delete this one, and we're going to add our own Kotlin classes. So let's say OCX application. Let's name it this. And we're going to say it has an application path, which is part of the Jakarta Restful web services. And you can say /OCX as the path. Now we have the class. It can extend application. That's pretty much it on this part. So we can add another class, which is say our endpoint, which can be application scope, for instance. So, and we have the path. Here we can adjust the path. So already, like you can see, we used several of the specs from Jakarta EE from the core profile. So we used the RESTs, yeah, what used to be called JAX-RS and the REST services. We have used the application scope, so that's CDI. I guess it's CDI Lite. Yes, it is. So, and now we can add an endpoint as well. Let's add a get endpoint, and we can say hi from Kotlin. Okay, and then we can say, well, hi from Kotlin at OCX at time. So I just add the system current time, so we see that it changes each time we invoke it. Okay, so that should be enough application code, right? And in a parallel universe where OpenLibert is supported, Kotlin out of the box, it will be. But in this universe which we're at, it's not. So now I'm gonna reload the project in IntelliJ. And by doing that, IntelliJ does some stuff for us. So first, let us just commit so we can have a short look at the differences. Also because it's a good habit to commit your code often. So IntelliJ now warns me that Kotlin is not configured. So, didn't I commit those? Okay. So I press configure. This is like the easiest way to make the config you need. At least, yeah. It's not perfect, but it's a great start. So you can see it adds the Kotlin version, dependencies on the standard library, which you need, and also the Maven plugin. So we can look at the Maven plugin, because that's maybe the important part. So it does compile and compile to Kotlin, all these things. And now we could run it. Well, we can actually run it. I can show you. Like, why not? So we can say Maven clean package. We don't really need clean, but next time we might. And we do Liberty dev, which opens Liberty in dev mode. So let's see what happens. So you can see the build succeeds. And things are installing. It gets faster the next time, but the first time it takes. Oops. So there you saw there were some errors. So being class is not proxyable because it's final, right? As I told you, this was going to happen, and now it happened. So what we can do now is we head back to the internet. Pray that the internet is stable during the next 20 minutes as well. That would be really nice. So we can search for the Kotlin all open. Yeah, just do a Google search. It takes you to the official Kotlin web page. And there is some configuration. It says here like all the configuration you need. So. And it's quite a bit of stuff, but like it's basically just things you can copy. So I copy the configuration for for this plugin. We add it, say here. Oh, no, we had double configuration. That's not good. Let's move this one. So yeah, that's the all open plugin. And now I can say that you see the syntax all open annotation. So I want the all open annotation on the application scope, like every annotation scope bean to be open for extension. And maybe that's all we need for now. Or we can add an application path as well, like why not? But we could also do that one. Maybe we do that, it's maybe easier, like add an application scope here as well. Doesn't really harm. So that might be enough to get us running. Let's give it a shot. I haven't really had success with with the Open Liberty hot reloading thing on configuration changes. I think it might be better if you're changing just the Kotlin source code files, but on changes in the POM file, it's not been a success for me as well, at least. Okay, you can see what happens now. Yeah. Now it's ready to start run a smarter plant. So let's see what Open Liberty can give us out of the box. So at 98, it's the default port. You can say Open API UI, so it's Swagger UI for us. And here you can see our endpoints. So what happens now if we run it? Yeah, it returns at 200. So that's good. And if I'm smart, I can add produces plain text. So next time you can actually see the text, not just this. But we can also invoke the URL directly. So now we have Kotlin running with the Jakarta EE core profile, because everything I've added so far has been part of the core profile. So what we've done so far, you could have accomplished by downloading Helidon or Quarkus or one of the runtimes that explicitly support both Kotlin and the Jakarta EE core profile, which is cool, but it's not enough for our use case, because I want to add. So let's add so that we can say hi to someone. So the query here. Let's add a query param here. Name, which is not a val. This is a name. That's a string. Hi from Kotlin to name. So if we do like this, you can say hi to someone, like use the parameter. So let's do that. Still nothing advanced, but you can see in a second why I'm doing this. Yep. Now we started. Oops. Parameter classified as non-null is null. Yeah. Fair enough. So let's head over to like here. You can see it won't let me invoke it without a name, which is fine, but I add a blank, and it says, well, hi to blank, which I don't want. Like I want you to actually provide your name, not just white space. So to use this with that, we can use the annotation from Jakarta validation that's not blank. And if we try to reload now, you can see that what I just did wouldn't work anymore. And why are we doing this? Well, because Jakarta validation might be very useful for many projects, but it's not part of the Jakarta EE core profile. It's part of the web profile, which means that if you stick to one of the runtimes that only support the core profile, you won't get Jakarta validation necessarily. But Open Liberty support implements the entire Jakarta EE profile, so let's see a nice app server for demoing this. I could have used Pajara or one of the other 15 app servers, but you have to choose something, right? So if I try now, you can say bad request, so must not be blank. So now we are using Jakarta validation as well. It's like, this is not crazy impressive code, but it works. And when you create your application, you use the same mechanisms. So let's have a quick look at my cheat sheet to make sure that I agree with myself on what we're going to talk about. Yeah, okay, so now we're heading over to persistence, Jakarta persistence, right? Which is pretty cool. Well, which you often use, better way to say it, I guess. You can have your opinion on whether it's cool or not, but you often need persistence. So let's add the persistence XML, which we hopefully won't need that much anymore after Jakarta 11, but for now we do. and we add dependency on Derby, which is an in-memory database that's well supported by OpenLiberty. You could use H2 or whatever, but for the sake of showing it, you can add it here. And we add some more configuration for the database. This is like just things you need to do. Yeah, that should be enough. Oops, sorry, that should be enough configuration for Jakarta EE persistence to work. But of course, we need some code as well. So let's add. Let's first add our entity, which can be a data class, kind of the Kotlin equivalent of records, in many senses. So let's say the entity class is the class is hello. We typically need a generated value. I never remember the syntax, but also need isn't it an ID? Yep, it is. So just yes, strategy. This syntax I never remember. So, but it says strategy for IDs auto-generate. So it can be ID that's an int, and then name as well. That's a string. That's like the data class hello. Yeah. So that's our entity. Let's add our repository as well, which can be application scoped or dependent or whatever, of course. Let's name it repository. Here we can have a persistence context for the JPA unit. So this corresponds with what you set in the server XML for OpenLiberty. Says that this is the configuration that we're using. So we add a entity manager. And then in our repository we can add, let's do a create function. So create, from and hello. We can say hello. We can say entity manager persist hello. Okay, nice. And you can say read from an ID, from an int, right? That's entity manager find the hello class, the Java ID. Okay, might need a reload. Okay, this should be working. Try the build. Yeah, nice. So that's to create and that's read. Now we add our repository. We inject it into the endpoint. Maybe it needs to be var. Yeah. So you could say, let's do some quick and dirty coding here, just for the sake of it. So let's create an ID from random, just a random ID, Kotlin random. Next, and then we create a hello, which is hello and ID and name, and we can also persist it. So we say create. This is just to show that, you understand why, of course. Just to show you the code in action. So now we read the object back again. So this should be pretty much all the code we need. But now it's going to crash because of the non-final and because of the no-arg constructor stuff. So what we can do is, of course, fix that. So in addition to the all open plugin, we can also add the JPA plugin. So the JPA plugin is the no-arg plugin, but it also says that if you have an entity, it will automatically be made available. Like they would automatically be made a no-arg constructor for you under the hood. So we add this one. That should be enough configuration to have it. But now we can also, let's do the all open. Okay. Here I don't really remember how much configuration we need. So maybe we should just, we have still some minutes. So let's just give it a shot and see what happens, right? But I know that we need the all open on the entity class. for instance, Jakarta persistence entity. So let's do that. Now we run it and see what happens. Okay, yeah, something happens here. Okay, unsatisfied dependencies for type of. Okay. Yeah. So the class repository is annotated with application scope, but it does not declare an appropriate constructor, therefore is not registered as a bean. Okay. So what we can do with that is to say that everything that's application scoped can also gets no constructor. I think that might be enough. Do we have any more interesting errors here? Looks fine so far. Yeah, I think that might be enough. So let's try again. It's like not the best developer flow in the sense that you have to reload and build everything between changes, but luckily you typically don't do this settings changes that often. You set it up, and then when we got it working, you're happy. At least I am. Okay, looks good so far. Okay, it started. So let's see what Swag UI gives us. Yeah, the endpoint is still here. That's a good sign. Like if something gets screwed up, OpenLiberty off. If something screws up during the build, OpenLiberty might just not deploy your application to the server. So just OpenLiberty starts, but you have nothing there. So, but no, it didn't, and we're happy. So let's say hi to Jakarta EE. So what happens now when we run it? Something exploded. Nice. Null pointer exception. Okay, cannot invoke Jakarta because the return value of get entity manager is null. Okay, that's an error I haven't seen in a long time. What's the machine say? JPA unit, yeah. Should have done what should be working, but okay, let's have a look at it and see why is it failing. Because it's this one that is failing for us. So why does it do that? I'm not really sure, but I've done this before, so let's compare it to what was working and see if that helps. Persistence context. Okay, that was working. Interesting. Yeah, true. I forgot transactional as well. That doesn't really solve this problem, but we're gonna run into that as a problem. So let's add it while we're at it. JP and var. Okay. So the repository here says. Okay, let's try build to make it happy. Entity manager persist. Yes. Okay. Maybe transactional will help us anyway. Let's give it a shot. Did I do anything else smart? Well, this is also the thing of debugging Lemon Stage, like you try to remember what did I do differently previous time, and why did that work? But let's see. Okay, this is nice. This looks okay. Yeah. So let's try again. Hope for the because get entity manager is null. Okay. This is really interesting. Data source. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That might very well be the case. So let's look at Liberty server config. Of course, thank you. I forgot to add. In OpenLiberty, you need to add the data source config here. Thank you, Daniel. Which I, for some reason, forgot to add to my notes. Well, next time. So let's find the config. Here it is. This is the secret. Not that secret, but the important part that we're missing. The configuration for OpenLiberty to actually use the data source from Derby. Yeah, was that the correct one? Hope so. We'll see. Monitoring. Okay, so it's starting. That's good. Yep. Okay. Ah, voila. So here we are. You can say it generated an ID for us for the new object, persisted it to the database and got it back again with the name Jakarta EE. So in this, in just this single file we can see here, we now have a running application that uses several of the specs from the core profile. We use validation from the web profile, and we also use Jakarta persistence from the web profile in OpenLiberty, running on Kotlin. And you can see we did that in 20 minutes. Of course, it always helps having done it before, but you can see this is now a running application with Kotlin and Jakarta EE. And this is like, that was it. So let's quickly skim through it. We still have, well, a few minutes, sort of running late, so let's be finished in time for the keynote. So what we did we just do? We went to the start of OpenLiberty. We added the Kotlin dependencies in the POM file, or IntelliJ did it for us. You can do it by hand as well. We added the all open plugin and added the options. You can see that we didn't need all the options here, but you can perfectly find lists, many, like those files you find relevant, those annotations you find relevant. And once you've done that, you can use REST, JSON-B, validation, and so on, which we did. So we add the no-arg, or the JPA. That's kind of a confusing thing, but that's what it is. And happy coding. That's pretty much all we did, right? In addition to some struggling with infrastructure connected to OpenLiberty, but that's a different story to this. But okay, wait a minute. I touched a bit upon Kotlin and Quarkus, or Heldon, or the app service early on. So Quarkus, if you go to the Quarkus starter, you can say, I want to use Kotlin. And it says that, yeah, Quarkus is based on Jakarta EE 10. But it also says, on the lowest one here, it's aligned with microprofile 6. Nice. But also, and Jakarta EE core profile 10. Really nice, but that means the core profile. And as we remember, right, the core profile is far from the entire platform. So if that's all the specs you need for application, fine, but you might need more, right? You might need stuff from the web profile or from the platform. And then it's nice to know that even if you want to use Kotlin, you can perfectly fine use an app, a runtime that is Jakarta EE compliant that doesn't say that it supports Kotlin, using the profiles and the plugins that we showed you right now. Yeah. So summarized, yes, it's doable. I would say it's quite feasible as well, not that hard. But yeah, the build plugins, that's the trick. Documentation generally missing. The code from the presentation is on my GitHub, like not from this run, but from preps. So you can find it there. Feel free to use whatever. I also wrote a blog post summarizing like the most important things. Kind of like summarizing the presentation. So you might find it if you Google it as well. And that's all. Thank you very much. So if anyone has questions, we have like approximately 0 minutes, but I'll be here for the keynote as well.